Alright, so let's start. Welcome guys. We are speaking aiders. Today we're going to discuss, for a change we are doing a writing task discussion, and it's a referral letter. In the task we're going to detailedly explain how we can write a letter. That includes how to identify the relevancy, how to identify semi-relevant data, how to write the date, address, salutation regarding lines, how to write an introduction with the proper purpose and diagnosis, and the body paragraph, how many paragraphs, how to divide paragraphs, what all history we need to include in the body paragraphs, conclusion paragraph, and the ending. So we will be discussing everything. Let's see how we will go. അതായത് ഇന്നത്തെ ടാസ്ക് ഫോർ എ ചേഞ്ച് നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന് ഒരു റൈറ്റിംഗ് ടാസ്ക് ഡിസ്കഷൻ ആണ് നമ്മൾ ഇന്ന് ചെയ്യാൻ പോകുന്നത്. അതൊരു റെഫറൽ ലെറ്റർ ആണ്. ആ ലെറ്ററിനകത്ത് എങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് ഡേറ്റ്, ടൈം, അഡ്രസ്, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഫുൾ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ്, സോറി നോട്ട് ടൈം, എല്ലാ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസും നമ്മൾ ഫുൾ ആയിട്ട് ഒരു ടോട്ടൽ ഒരു ലെറ്റർ എങ്ങനെ എഴുതാൻ നമ്മൾ മൊത്തത്തിൽ ഒന്ന് ഡിസ്കസ് ചെയ്യാൻ പോവാം. ആൻഡ് ആ ഡിസ്കഷനകത്ത് എങ്ങനെ ബോഡി പാരഗ്രാഫ്സ് എങ്ങനെ ഡിവൈഡ് ചെയ്യാം, എന്താണ് റെലവൻസി, എന്താണ് നോൺ റെലവൻസി, then what is semi relevant, എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഒരു പാരഗ്രാഫ് മേക്ക് ചെയ്യേണ്ടത്, ഇങ്ങനെയൊക്കെ പാരഗ്രാഫ് മേക്ക് ചെയ്യാമോ, എങ്ങനെ കൺക്ലൂഡ് ചെയ്യാം, അങ്ങനെയുള്ള ഫുൾ ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് നമ്മൾ പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നതായിരിക്കും നിങ്ങൾക്ക്. അപ്പൊ നമുക്ക് നോക്കാം. Alright, let's start. So we're going to start with the writing task. We will have a quick glance at the writing task. I hope everyone can see. So as usual, writing subtask, nursing. Time allowed, reading time 5 minutes and writing time 40 minutes. And the date is 12/9/2020. You are an emergency department nurse who is caring Mr. Deeb, a 46-year-old man. Patient details: Mr. Antony Deeb, age 46. Social background: lives with mother and girlfriend, employed as carpenter, smokes and drinks moderately. Now, presenting complaints. Hit his left hand to wall. Past medical history: left tibial fracture in 2006 and concussion 2018. So in this area, in this page, you can see the date is already there. The name of the patient is given, the age is given, patient's social background, what happened, why he came to the hospital or to the clinic or so to the emergency department, and the past medical history. So all these things are detailedly explained. Next comes the GP notes. The patient hit his left hand to wall after an argument. So you can see that the GP, let's think that the GP has sent the patient to the emergency department. So it says the incidents: patient hit his left hand to wall after an argument. Assessment: tenderness on 4th and 5th finger and painful. 5th metacarpal tenderness. Suspecting boxer fracture. X-ray done which revealed boxer fracture to left 5th metacarpal, and there is a diagnosis also: left 5th metacarpal fracture. Current medication means what all provided to the patient: paracetamol for headache, morphine for pain. Management: close reduction and immobilization of 5th metacarpal with what? Fiberglass cast. And here we have some nursing managements like medications as per chart, monitor vital signs, and needs ongoing care from orthopedic clinic. So that's the purpose. Patient needs ongoing care from the orthopedic clinic. Nursing assessment: vital signs normal, neurological status monitored, elevate hand, medications as per chart. Next thing, discharge advice, provide cash care. So these are the things we are expecting the patient, the outpatient clinic nurse, the OPD nurse clinic should do. So provide cash care. Patient was already educated on cash care, so maybe we can say re-educate. Elevate left hand with a sling. Physiotherapy hand clinic. Review with an X-ray at OPD. And next thing is like he needs to return to emergency department in case of any worsening symptoms. Lastly, he need medical certificate. And the writing task. It says using the information in the case note, write a referral letter to Miss Margaret Marshall, nurse practitioner at OPD, NSW, New South Wales 2154, for ongoing care. In your answer, expand the relevant notes into complete sentences. Do not use note form. Use letter format. The body of the letter should be approximately 180 to 200 words. So that's a task for us. It's not a big task, it's a small task, and let's see how we can write it. Okay, so normally, what I normally discuss with my regular students, before we write a letter, we need to know 5 things. What are the 5 things? They are very vital to write a letter. അത് നമ്മൾ ലെറ്റർ എഴുതുന്നതിന് മുൻപ് 5 കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് അറിഞ്ഞിരിക്കണം. എന്നാലാണ് അങ്ങനെ അറിഞ്ഞാൽ തന്നെ നമ്മുടെ ഒരു 50% നമ്മൾ ലെറ്റർ മനസ്സിലാക്കി എന്ന് പറയാൻ പറ്റും. So the first thing is who you writing to. നിങ്ങൾ ആർക്കാണ് ലെറ്റർ എഴുതുന്നത്. Second thing, what is their job role. Third, what is your role. നിങ്ങൾ ആരാണ്. Fourth, purpose and diagnosis or chief complaint. ഈ ലെറ്ററിന്റെ ലക്ഷ്യം എന്താണ്, അതുപോലെ ഡയഗ്നോസിസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ചീഫ് കംപ്ലൈന്റ് എന്താണ്. വാട്ട് ടൈപ്പ് ഓഫ് ലെറ്റർ, ഇത് ഏത് തരത്തിലുള്ള ലെറ്റർ ആണ്. ഇസ് ഇറ്റ് എ റഫറൽ, അർജന്റ് or transfer, home visit, it can be anything, right? So 5 things we need to remember before we start writing. And again, when you write a letter, we have 5 minutes reading time before we start writing. So basically I always recommend my students to write like this. If you can find this 5 things, 50% is done. Then the remaining 50% is to identify the relevant data and write. And like I always discussed, if you take some extra 5 more minutes to plan, the first 5 minutes you cannot use pen or pencil to write in the task. So you can understand these things. After that, plan your task. What you're going to write. What will be the introduction? What will be paragraph number 1, paragraph number 2, paragraph number 3? That's the body paragraphs, and the concluding paragraph. And there are one technique I normally use. I will explain to you how we can use that also today. So let's remind again the things. First thing, let's see, who you writing to. Who you writing to? Here in the letter, we are writing a letter to Miss Margaret Marshall. So the first question, who you writing to? Your address part, Miss Margaret Marshall. What is their job role? She is a nurse practitioner at OPD. What is your role? Where can we find it? We must go to the on top of the letter, right? You are an emergency department nurse. So your role is you are an emergency department nurse. Next, what's the purpose of the letter? So when we say purpose, these days most of the tasks we will be seeing purpose will be mentioned in 2 areas. For example, there was a letter for Miss Sheila Cartwright, if I remember correctly. On the writing task, it says for like continued care. It's not mentioned, but it says like continued care after discharge. But on the discharge advice, in between, it was said that prepare a letter for an overall lifestyle modification. So we mustn't miss both things. അതായത് ഈയിടെയായിട്ട് കുറെ ലെറ്ററുകൾ, ഈയിടെയായിട്ട് നല്ല കുറച്ച് നാളുകളായിട്ട് ലെറ്ററുകളിൽ ഒരു പ്രത്യേകത ഉണ്ട്. ചിലപ്പോൾ 2 തരത്തിൽ പർപ്പസ് വന്നിട്ടുണ്ട്. അപ്പോൾ ഇത് രണ്ടും നമ്മൾ ഇൻക്ലൂഡ് ചെയ്യുന്നു. റൈറ്റിംഗ് ടാസ്കിൽ കണ്ടിന്യൂഡ് കെയർ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഓൺ ഗോയിങ് കെയർ കൊടുത്തിട്ടുണ്ട്. ഇവിടെ ഡിസ്ചാർജ് അഡ്വൈസിന്റെ താഴെ കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുകയാണ് പ്രിപ്പയർ എ ലെറ്റർ ഫോർ ആൻ ഓവറോൾ ലൈഫ് സ്റ്റൈൽ പ്ലാൻ. So we need to include both purpose. So sometimes we can find the purpose in the discharge advice. Sometimes we can find it in the writing task. So here the purpose, it's given here for ongoing care. Again, you can find here also under management, monitor vital signs and needs ongoing care from orthopedic clinic. So that's the purpose. Now comes the diagnosis. Here again we can find in the middle diagnosis says left fifth metacarpal fracture. So here is the diagnosis. And now the last one, what type of letter? What type of letter? It says write a referral letter. Did you see that? Using the information in the case notes, write a referral letter to Miss Margaret Marshall. So letter should be referral. Is it a non-case? No, because it's nowhere it's mentioned about that the recipient knows about the patient. So it's not a non-case. And so let's see. So like we discussed, 5 criterias and the answers. അതായത് നമ്മൾ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ 5 ക്രൈറ്റീരിയയുടെ ആൻസേഴ്സ് ആണ് ഇവിടെ കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നത്. Who you writing to? Miss Margaret Marshall. What is the job role? Nurse practitioner, OPD. What is your role? Emergency department nurse. Purpose and diagnosis or chief complaint. You know, some letters there won't be a diagnosis. Instead of that, they will be providing some chief complaint. For example, one of the letter, if I remember correctly, the letter for Betty Olsen, it says patient having chest pain. So you can write the introduction like, I'm writing regarding Miss Betty Olsen who has persistent chest pain. So persistent chest pain and sweating. So that's a chief complaint. You know, maybe sometimes I'll be providing 1 or 2 or 3 complaints. And what type of letter? It's a referral letter and unknown case. So I hope so far it's clear for everyone. എല്ലാവർക്കും മനസ്സിലായി എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. 5 ക്രൈറ്റീരിയ ആണ് നമ്മൾ 5 മിനിറ്റ്. നമുക്ക് 45 മിനിറ്റ് ലെറ്റർ എഴുതാൻ അവർ മൊത്തം റൈറ്റിംഗ് ടാസ്ക് നമുക്ക് 45 മിനിറ്റ് തന്നിരിക്കുന്നത്. അതിനകത്ത് ആദ്യത്തെ 5 മിനിറ്റ് നമുക്ക് പെന്നോ പെൻസിലോ ഒന്നും ഉപയോഗിക്കാൻ അലൗഡ് അല്ല. അപ്പൊ ആ 5 മിനിറ്റിൽ നമുക്ക് പ്ലാൻ ചെയ്യാം, നോക്കി മനസ്സിലാക്കി വെക്കാം. ഏതൊക്കെയാണ് ഈ 5 കാര്യങ്ങളൊന്നും മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ ശ്രമിക്കുക. Who you writing to? What is the job role? What is your role? Purpose and diagnosis or chief complaint? What type of letter? And another thing I want to tell you that in some letters there won't be a name, so that the first criteria will be missing. For example, there is a letter for Miss Maria Joseph. In that letter there is no name provided, so we can assume from what is the job role. We are writing a letter to a neurologist, then if I remember correctly. So that's that also be useful. Okay, next thing, how to write. ഇനി നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ ഈ ലെറ്റർ എഴുതാമെന്ന് നോക്കാം. അതിക്ക് മുൻപ് നമുക്ക് ഇതിന്റെ എങ്ങനെ റെലവൻസി കാര്യങ്ങളൊക്കെ എങ്ങനെ മനസ്സിലാക്കാൻ നോക്കാം. അപ്പൊ ഈ ലെറ്റർ നമ്മൾ എഴുതുന്നത് ഒരു ഓർത്തോപെഡിക് ക്ലിനിക് നഴ്സിനല്ലേ, OPD ലെറ്റർ നഴ്സിന്. അപ്പൊ ആ നഴ്സിന് ആവശ്യമുള്ള ഡാറ്റാസ് മതി നമുക്ക് എപ്പോഴും. അത് എന്തൊക്കെയാന്ന് നോക്കാം. Let's see what are the relevant data which will be useful for the recipient. That's Mrs. Margaret Marshall. Let's see what are they. So of course the date is, this is the task again. We are re-looking again the task. Today's date 12/9/2020. You are an emergency department nurse. Name Mr. Antony Deeb. The notes I put red color is the relevant data. Green color means it's semi-relevant. If I didn't put any, it still remains in the black color, means it is not relevant. And I will explain you how it will be relevant and irrelevant. Okay, semi-relevant and non-relevant. So let's start again. So the name Mr. Antony Deeb, age 46 years, social background, lives with mother and girlfriend. We can say it's a semi-relevant data, but still we can include them. Remember, because we need to we should have a word count of 180 to 200 words to complete the letter. So we can say this is semi-relevant, and that's the social history. So we can add with that, with the carpenter, with his profession and the where he is staying. Next thing, he smokes and drinks moderately. It doesn't matter because this task is not about any particular diagnosis, just an accident, something accidental happened. Okay, now the presenting complaint, definitely it is important. Hit his left hand too hard. Past medical history, left tibial fracture in 2006. Is this relevant? It's not relevant. Because why? It happened 14 years back. Look at today's date. The letters today's date is 2020 and this is in 2006. There is no relation. It's not a chronic condition. If it's a chronic condition, maybe then we can write it as a semi-relevant data. And again, concussion in 2018. Again, sorry for coloring. It is a semi-relevant data. So we can include that if needed. Concussion, tibial fracture, no need. Although it right now again he is having a fracture, but this happened like 14 years ago. So it's not really relevant at this stage. Now the GP notes. This is entirely useful. What are they? The patient hit his left hand to wall after an argument. Assessment: tenderness on fourth, fifth finger and painful fifth metacarpal tenderness. Suspecting boxer fracture. X-ray done which revealed boxer fracture to left fifth metacarpal. Diagnosis: left fifth metacarpal fracture. Current medications definitely relevant. Paracetamol, morphine. What for? Headache and pain. What next? Management. They done a closed reduction and immobilization of the fifth metacarpal. It's closed reduction, so it's just a procedure, not a surgery. Remember again, it's just a procedure. They didn't operate or didn't do anything for that. Next thing, medications as per chart, monitor vital signs. It's not mentioned anything, so we don't have to go in details about that. Another thing, ongoing care, so which is also very important. Nursing assessment, vital signs normal, neurological status monitored, medications as per chart. So it's all repetitions and there is nothing to write in all these things because it says normal. Even in neurological status, it's not mentioned that something is going wrong. അതായത് ഇതിനകത്ത് ഒന്നും നോർമൽ എന്ന് കാണിച്ചു കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ പിന്നെ അതെടുത്ത് എഴുതാൻ നിൽക്കണ്ട, അതിന്റെ ആവശ്യമില്ല. Next comes the discharge advice. Discharge advice, definitely in this letter whatever is provided here all are relevant data. The nurse is supposed to provide him cash care, already educated, so maybe she can re-educate when once she is providing the cash care. Next thing, he needs to elevate with a sling. He needs to attend, Mr. Deeb needs to attend physiotherapy at hand clinic. He has a review appointment in OPD with a follow-up X-ray. He needs to return to emergency department in case of any worsening symptoms, not to the clinic. He needs to come back to us because where we are writing the letter from. Lastly, he requires medical certificate. Writing task, referral letter, address, and expand the relevant notes. Again, look at here. They clearly says expand the relevant notes into complete sentences. Do not use note form, use letter format. 180 to 200 words. So, എല്ലാവർക്കും ഇതുവരെ എല്ലാം ക്ലിയർ ആയി തോന്നുന്നു. ഇനി നമുക്ക് എങ്ങനെ ലെറ്റർ എഴുതാൻ നോക്കാം. അതിന്റെ കൂടെ തന്നെ ഞാൻ ഒരു ടെക്നിക്ക് പറയാം. I am going to explain you one technique what I was doing. When I was studying, what I was doing, I used to number my areas, let's say like if the case note is giving present history, I always number there 1. So if we can practice that here, it says presenting complaints, hit his left hand to wall. I will put on top there 1. I mark there as 1. Then I will glance again, I will look at the letter again. Here again, GP notes, hit left hand, assessment, painful, X-ray finding, current medications, all these things, management. These are all my 1. So I will mark each and every area with I'll mark as 1. അതായത് ഞാൻ ഈ പ്രസന്റ് ഹിസ്റ്ററി പറഞ്ഞിരിക്കുന്ന എല്ലായിടത്തും ഒന്ന് എല്ലാ സെന്റൻസിന്റെയും അവിടെ ഇട്ടിട്ട് പോകും. ഞാൻ ഒരു 5 മിനിറ്റ് എക്സ്ട്രാ എടുത്ത് കേട്ടോ ഞാൻ ലെറ്റർ എഴുതിക്കൊണ്ടിരുന്നത്. നമ്മൾ ഒന്നുള്ള ഒരു നമ്പറിങ് ഇട്ടിട്ട് അങ്ങ് പോവുക. Then after that you need to look for some past medical history. So when you see the past medical history, I write there 2 on top there. Let's say like left tibial fracture in 2006 and concussion. So if I'm writing the relevant data, then I will underline that area and I will mark 2 there. So on top of concussion in 2018, I'll write the 2. So in this letter, there is no other past medical history. Then next comes the social history. So when the social history is mentioning, wherever it is mentioning, I'll mark on top there as 3. So lives with mother and girlfriend, employed as carpenter, smokes, drinks and moderately. So I'll mark on top of each lines as 3. And in this letter for me the relevancy is the employed and the lives with mother and girlfriend. So I'll write these two areas 3 on top. ഇത് രണ്ടിന്റെ ഈ രണ്ട് സെന്റൻസിന്റെ മുകളിലും ഞാൻ 3 എന്ന് എഴുതി പോകും. Next comes our discharge advice. Discharge advice ന്റെ അവിടെ ഞാൻ കൊണ്ടുപോയി 4 എന്ന് ഞാൻ എഴുതി വെക്കും. മനസ്സിലായോ? I'll write 4 there. So each and every sentence which is needed for me to write, I'll write on top there 4, 4, 4. So this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 lines are here. So everywhere I will write 4 on top. അതായത് ഈ എല്ലാ ലൈനിന്റെ സെന്റൻസിന്റെയും തൊട്ട് മുകളിലായിട്ട് ഞാൻ 4, 4, 4 എന്ന് ഞാൻ എഴുതി പോകും. അതായത് എനിക്ക് അറിയാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ്. In some letters there will be some extra nursing management and everything. So I will write then again 5. Second tip what I was doing was, if in case this letter doesn't have anything, if in case some letter will say during the hospitalization nursing management physiotherapy started or something like that, then again in the discharge advice also it says continue physiotherapy. So I will mark a line from there to here like an arrow. അതായത് നമ്മളിങ്ങനെ ചിലയിടത്ത് രണ്ട് സെയിം ഡാറ്റ ഡിസ്ചാർജ് അഡ്വൈസിലും അത് തന്നെ ഫിസിയോതെറാപ്പി എക്സാമ്പിൾ എടുത്താൽ ഫിസിയോതെറാപ്പി ഇവിടെയും കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നു അവിടെയും കൊടുത്തിരിക്കുന്നു. അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോൾ ഞാൻ ഒരു ആരോ ഇട്ട് വെക്കും, ആരോ മാർക്കിംഗ്. അതായത് നമുക്ക് കണക്ട് ചെയ്ത് എഴുതി പോവാം എന്ന് അറിയാൻ വേണ്ടിയാണ്. The reason I'm putting this arrow is to connect these two sentences when I write the body paragraph. So it will be very easy for me or easy for everyone to write. For example, if says the diet, she has been initiated on low salt diet, and in the discharge advice says continue diet. So I'll put an arrow from there to here to connect the data. So if you prepare for 5 minutes, after that I'll take another 5 more minutes to start writing my letter. So in total I take 10 minutes for a proper planning. After that you can easily write in 30 minutes time. 30 minutes time, then the remaining 5 minutes we can do the proofreading. We will discuss about proofreading at the end. I hope എല്ലാവർക്കും മനസ്സിലായി. I hope everyone understand what I am trying to say. A small technique by numbering. Present medical history number as 1, past medical history 2, social history 3, and the discharge advice 4. If you can practice this one every day when you write a letter, maybe in 5 days time it will be very easy for you to write the letter. And what's the biggest advantage is you won't miss any data. Once you finish writing the present history, you can tick there. If you put a tick mark there, that means you completed that area. So some of the students always complain that they forgot to write this thing, they forgot to that. So in order to prevent all this type of ideas, we can do that. Okay, and I hope that's clear for everyone. Clear അല്ലേ എല്ലാവർക്കും? ക്ലിയർ ആണെങ്കിൽ മെസ്സേജ് ചാറ്റിൽ ഒരു ടിക്ക് ഇടാം, അങ്ങനെ നമുക്ക് അടുത്ത കണ്ടിന്യൂഷനിലോട്ട് പോകാം. If it's clear, please put me a message saying clear and we can continue with the letter. Anyone? Or do I need to repeat again? Okay, Usha and Stebin says it's clear. So I'm moving on. So that's the task. And now we're going to start with the letter. Thank you guys. Thanks for the response. Now, next thing is we have address, date, salutation, regarding line, all these things, right? Or address, date, greeting and regarding line. So in the letter, address and date can be written vice versa. When you write a letter, our address and date can be written in you can write date first and address, or address first and date. In the OET official samples we can always see they are providing the date first, if I'm right. Let me just have a quick glance. No, they comes with the address first and then the date. But follow any method, it is still fine. അതായത് നമുക്ക് ആദ്യം ഡേറ്റ് എഴുതാം ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ അഡ്രസ് എഴുതാം, കുഴപ്പമില്ല. ഒഫീഷ്യൽ സാമ്പിൾസിലൊക്കെ എപ്പോഴും ആദ്യമേ അഡ്രസ് ആണ്, പിന്നെയാണ് ഡേറ്റ് വരുന്നത്. Then comes the greeting line and the reading line. Again, greeting and reading line can be written vice versa. അതായത് റിഗാർഡിംഗ് മുകളിൽ എഴുതിയിട്ട് താഴെ ഗ്രീറ്റിംഗ് എഴുതാം. But we cannot take greeting and regarding line to the top. So stick to what format you are writing. Okay, make sure that you have a certain method and stick to that from day one till the day you write the exam. Oh, thank you guys. Thank you for the response. I can see a lot of message. It's clear and I hope it's useful. So like we discussed, address, date, greeting and regarding line. So here Miss Margaret Marshall, nurse practitioner, OPD, NSW 2154. Date 12 September, 2020. If you are using a comma after September, then when you write the greeting line, we need to put a comma. Dear Miss Marshall. If you are not putting a comma in bit after September, then no need to put a comma after Dear Miss Marshall. I hope that's clear for everyone. അതായത് നമ്മൾ ഈ കോമ ഇടുവാണെങ്കിൽ, ഇപ്പൊ ഡേറ്റ് എഴുതുമ്പോൾ സെപ്റ്റംബറിന് ശേഷം കോമ ഇടുന്നുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ, സോറി വൺ സെക്കൻഡ്, താഴെ ഡിയർ ലൈൻ എഴുതുമ്പോഴും കോമ ഇടണം. അല്ലെങ്കിൽ രണ്ടിടത്തും കോമ ഇടണ്ട. ഒരിടത്ത് കോമ ഇട്ടാൽ താഴെയും ഇടണം, ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ മറ്റു സ്ഥലത്തും ഇടരുത്. So I will rather suggest you guys to put a comma always there. 12 September, 2020. Dear Miss Marshall. We do have a lot of methods. We can write 12 /9/2020, or you can write 12.9.2020. We can use different methods. Stick to what you write. Another thing, we make sure that in some letters there will be date of birth only provided, no age. So if you write the date method as 12 September, 2020 and the letter says the date of birth is 21 August 1990, then you need to write August in words. Do not use two different methods. അതായത് നമ്മളിപ്പോൾ ഒരു ലെറ്റർ എഴുതുമ്പോൾ ഡേറ്റ് ഓഫ് ബർത്ത് മാത്രമുള്ളൂ ലെറ്ററിൽ, ഏജ് തന്നിട്ടില്ല. അപ്പൊ നമ്മൾ ലെറ്റർ എഴുതുമ്പോൾ ഡേറ്റ് എഴുതുന്നിടത്ത് 12 സെപ്റ്റംബർ 2020 എന്ന് എഴുതിയിട്ടുണ്ടെങ്കിൽ താഴെ എഴുതുമ്പോഴും ആ ഡേറ്റ് ഓഫ് ബർത്ത് എഴുതുമ്പോൾ മന്ത് വേർഡിൽ തന്നെ എഴുതണം. രണ്ട് ഡിഫറെന്റ് ഫോർമാറ്റ് യൂസ് ചെയ്യരുത് കേട്ടോ. I hope that's clear for everyone. So it's the address, date, greeting line and the regarding line. Now we are going to the introduction part. How do we write this letter introduction? So we do have clear purpose here. What is that? Ongoing care. And what's the next thing? The diagnosis is left fifth metacarpal fracture. So how do we going to write this? Let's have a look. We can write in different ways, right? So here is the diagnosis and we have the name here. So we can write, I am writing regarding Mr. Antony Deeb, who is recovering, right? Presently, who is recovering from close reduction and immobilization of left fifth metacarpal fracture, comma, requires ongoing care. Ongoing care and management. That's one way. Or you can write, I am writing this letter to refer Mr. Antony Deeb for ongoing care and management since he underwent close reduction, not underwent, since he is recovering from close reduction and cast application for left fifth metacarpal fracture. So we can write in different ways. Or you can write Mr. Antony Deeb is being referred to a facility for ongoing care and management following a close reduction and immobilization for his left fifth metacarpal fracture. It's a lot of different ways we can write. Main thing, we need to write the purpose and diagnosis. And I hope that's clear for everyone. According to the latest update, they say we can write the full name in the introduction part also. So we can write Mr. Antony Deeb is being referred to a facility for ongoing care and management, following a close reduction and immobilization for his left fifth metacarpal fracture. So we can write in different ways. So that's the introduction for you. And when it comes to introduction, we always make sure we will have only 2 lines of introduction. Do not write, I'm writing regarding Mr. Antony. I'm just saying an example. I'm writing regarding Mr. Antony Deeb, who is what do you say? Who is who is recovering from, I'm just saying an example, like a close reduction and immobilization of his left metacarpal fracture. He requires next sentence, he requires ongoing care and management. Next sentence, he is scheduled to be discharged today. Do not write 3 sentences in an introduction. Ideally, and it's always best to write 2 letters, sorry, 2 sentences, not letters, 2 sentences maximum. And I hope that's clear for everyone. Next, we go into the body paragraph. Body paragraph, the first body we're going to write as the present history. And we have a technique. So if you can go back to our YouTube channel and watch a video where we are detailedly explaining how to write a body paragraph. And we always say there is a technique to write body paragraphs, especially in referral letters. What is that technique? I always say it's like an it's very simple thing. If you think when you think about as a professional nurse, as your career, when you can easily relate with your profession. Think about a patient who is visiting you, and when a patient comes to you, he will explain to you his present history, right? Presenting complaint. After hearing the presenting complaint, you will examine the patient or you will assess the patient. After examination and assessment, the doctor will order for investigations, right? After the investigation, we will get a result, and from the result, we will get a diagnosis. It can be a blood investigation or a X-ray or a scan or something. From that, we will get some results, report. From that report, we can diagnose the patient. After diagnosing, we can decide for medical or surgical management. So we can do medical management or surgical management. After that, we can write about after that we will provide treatment to the patient. That's what we do in the hospital. So when you write a letter, we can apply the same technique. Write the presenting history first, presenting complaint, followed by your assessment details. Next comes the investigation, followed by the management, what you did for the patient, medical or surgical, and the medications, what all the medications or what all you did extra. And lastly, what is the present condition. So that's the way you can write the letter. If you follow that technique, അതായത് നമ്മൾ ഒരു പേഷ്യന്റ് നമ്മളെ ഹോസ്പിറ്റലിൽ വരുമ്പോൾ നമ്മൾ സാധാരണഗതിയിൽ എങ്ങനെയാ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? വരുന്ന ഒരു രോഗി, അതായത് നിങ്ങളൊരു രോഗിയാണെങ്കിൽ നിങ്ങൾ ആദ്യം ചെന്ന് പറയുന്നു എനിക്ക് ഇന്ന പ്രശ്നങ്ങൾ, എനിക്ക് പനിയും ചുമയും തലവേദനയൊക്കെ ഉണ്ട് എന്ന് പറയുന്നു. അപ്പൊ അവര് പറയുന്നു ഓക്കെ, ഞാനൊന്ന് നിങ്ങളെ എക്സാമിൻ ചെയ്യട്ടെ, അസസ് ചെയ്യട്ടെ എന്ന്. ആ എക്സാമിനേഷൻ അസസ്മെന്റ് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ നിങ്ങളുടെ അടുത്ത് പറയും ഇന്ന ബ്ലഡ് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേഷൻസ് അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു എക്സ്റേ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഒരു CT സ്കാൻ ചെയ്യണം എന്ന് പറയുന്നു. അത് ചെയ്ത് കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ ഒരു റിപ്പോർട്ട് കിട്ടും അല്ലെ? ബ്ലഡ് ഇൻവെസ്റ്റിഗേഷൻ റിപ്പോർട്ട് കിട്ടും, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ എക്സ്റേ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ സ്കാനിന്റെ റിപ്പോർട്ട് കിട്ടും. ആ റിപ്പോർട്ടിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിൽ ഡോക്ടർ നിങ്ങൾക്ക് ഒരു ഡയഗ്നോസിസ് തയ്യാറാക്കും. ആ ഡയഗ്നോസ് ചെയ്യുന്നതിന്റെ അടിസ്ഥാനത്തിലാണ് നിങ്ങൾക്ക് മെഡിക്കൽ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് വേണോ സർജിക്കൽ മാനേജ്മെന്റ് വേണോ എന്നുള്ളത് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത്. ആ എക്സ്പ്ലനേഷൻ കഴിഞ്ഞ് കഴിയുമ്പോൾ അത് നമുക്ക് ആ ഒരു ട്രീറ്റ്മെന്റ് അവർ നമുക്ക് പ്രൊവൈഡ് ചെയ്തു തരും. ആ ട്രീറ്റ്മെന്റ് എന്താന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ അത് കൃത്യമായിട്ട് മെഡിക്കേഷൻസോ സർജിക്കൽസോ എന്താണെന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ ഡീറ്റെയിൽഡ് ആയിട്ട് എഴുതുക. That is what happening in the hospital. Then we can apply that same technique in your referral letters also. I'll repeat again. You write the first sentence as your presenting complaint, second sentence as your assessment, third sentence as your investigation, fourth fourth is your report and diagnosis, fifth is your medical and surgical management, which includes the medication or what all the procedures we done or the surgery, and lastly how is he or she now. Currently he or she is stable or something like that. It can be or stabilizing. He has made a good progress or something like that. So I hope that's clear for one. Now let's look how we can apply it. So if you look at this letter, we can plan this one, right? So how do we plan? This is Mr. Deeb. Mr. Deeb presented here. Okay, so Mr. Deeb presented to emergency department with what? It's not with. He remember he hit his left hand to wall after an argument. So how do we write? Mr. Deeb presented to emergency department after hitting his left hand onto a wall following an argument. അല്ലെ, അതായത് ഒരു ആർഗ്യുമെന്റിന്റെ ഇടയ്ക്ക് അയാളുടെ കൈ ഒരു വാളെ ചെന്ന് ഇടിച്ചു. അതാണ് നമ്മുടെ presenting complaint. So you'll write Mr. D presented to emergency department after hitting his left hand to a wall following an argument. What will be the second sentence? Second sentence will be assessment. So here we go. The assessment says tenderness on fourth and fifth finger and painful metacarpal tenderness. So it's just double repetition. Tenderness on fourth and fifth finger and painful fifth metacarpal tenderness. So how do we write that? On assessment, he had pain and tenderness over fourth and fifth metacarpals. Or you can write pain and on assessment, pain and tenderness noted over the fourth and fifth metacarpals. So we have two sentences now, the presenting complaint and the assessment. Next comes the investigation. So here X-ray revealed boxer fracture to the left metacarpal fracture. So here the investigation and the diagnosis. How do we put it? An X-ray, or you can simply start the sentence like X-ray or his X-ray. His X-ray revealed boxer fracture to the left fifth metacarpal. But remember again, we written already the diagnosis on the introduction, so we don't have to repeat the same data. So here we can write, we didn't write about the boxer fracture there, so we can write his X-ray revealed the boxer fracture which confirmed his diagnosis, or you can write X-ray revealed the boxer fracture which confirmed his diagnosis. So three sentences now already. First one is the presenting, second one is the assessment, fourth and fifth finger, third one is the X-ray and the diagnosis. So four things are completed. Now comes the procedure. So what we'll write? Therefore, or we can write here the medication. So how do we write? He was managed with what? Or he was treated, or he was commenced on current medication. For what are they? Paracetamol for headache and morphine IV for pain. So we can write IV paracetamol, IV morphine and paracetamol were administered or provided for his pain and headache. Or he was managed with IV paracetamol and IV morphine for his pain and headache. So we can write in when I say that sometimes it may be some few errors, but I'm just providing examples how we can write. So the fourth sentence will be about the medication, about paracetamol and headache. Paracetamol for headache and morphine for pain. That's the medical management. Next thing, close reduction and immobilization with a fiberglass cast. So how do we write? Therefore, or we can write therefore, we can use a first connective. Remember again, so far I didn't use any connectives. There is no need to write connectives to write a sentence. If needed, only write one connective. Otherwise, make it simple and continue with the writing. He, his, and first we can start with the name followed by on assessment he, then his X-ray revealed, then we can go with he was managed with, then we can say, or you can say after the diagnosis, you can therefore he underwent the procedure, because we say the procedure here because we already mentioned about close reduction on the introduction. So therefore he underwent the procedure and a fiberglass cast was applied for immobilization. He was managed with IV morphine for pain and paracetamol for his headache. That's the fifth sentence. Currently his condition is stable. That's it. Sixth sentence. So we are completed with the paragraph 1. I'll repeat again. The patient presented to emergency after hitting his left hand to the wall following an argument. On assessment, he had fourth and fifth finger pain and tenderness. Third sentence, X-ray revealed boxer fracture which confirmed his diagnosis. Therefore, he underwent the procedure and a fiberglass cast, right, was applied for immobilization. Fifth sentence, he was managed with paracetamol for his headache and IV morphine for his pain. Lastly, if needed, you can write currently his condition is stable or currently he has made a good recovery. It's no need actually. Even if you don't write it, that's perfectly fine. So that's the first paragraph for you, and I hope that's clear for everyone. എല്ലാവർക്കും മനസ്സിലായെന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. ഒന്നാമത്തെ സെന്റൻസ് നമ്മൾ പ്രസന്റിംഗ് കംപ്ലൈന്റ് കൊടുത്തു. അതെന്താണ്? കൈ ചെന്ന് ഭിത്തിയിലടിച്ചു. അതിനുശേഷമാണ് ഒരു ആർഗ്യുമെന്റ് അടക്കി. രണ്ടാമത് നമ്മൾ അസസ്മെന്റ് കൊടുത്തു. ഫോർത്ത് ആൻഡ് ഫിഫ്ത് ഫിംഗർ ടെൻഡർനെസിന്റെ കാര്യം. മൂന്നാമത്തത് നമ്മൾ എന്ത് കൊടുത്തു? എക്സ്റേയുടെ കാര്യം ഡീറ്റെയിൽസ് എല്ലാം കൊടുത്തു. നാലാമത്തത് നമ്മൾ അതുകൊണ്ട് നമ്മൾ ഒരു പ്രൊസീജിയർ ചെയ്തു, ഫൈബർ ഗ്ലാസ് കാസ്റ്റ് വെച്ച് ഇമ്മൊബിലൈസ് ചെയ്തു എന്നും പറഞ്ഞു. അടുത്ത എന്ത് പറഞ്ഞു? ഒരു കാര്യം കൂടി പറഞ്ഞു. എന്താണത്? മെഡിക്കേഷൻസിന്റെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞു. ഇവിടെ വെച്ച് ക്ലോസ് ചെയ്യാം. സോ ഐ ഹോപ്പ് ദാറ്റ്സ് ക്ലിയർ ഫോർ പാര 1 is clear for everyone. So we finished with the address, date, greeting line, regarding line, introduction and para 1. Like we said, admitted with the what? Admitted after hitting his left hand, assessment, pain and tenderness, investigation, x-ray, management, procedure and fiberglass, medications, medical management is with the paracetamol and IV morphine. So that's the first paragraph. Now we're going to write the social history, second paragraph. So we can always mix the social history followed by past medical history in the same paragraph, unless there is too many details provided in one letter and it's saying in the letter it says, for example, we can say using the information in the case note, write a referral letter in detail about the present history, past medical history, social history, something like that. If it is specifically mentioned, then we can separately write. Otherwise, we can always write including here. So it's a social history. We can write his job and where he is living with, with whom he is living with, and the past medical history, which is a semi-relevant one. So how do we going to write it? Let's have a look. So the social history, we're going to say Mr. Carpenter is a, here we can write present tense, right? We can use present. Mr. Carpenter, Mr. Deeb is a carpenter who lives with his mother and girlfriend. His medical history is unremarkable except for concussion, for a concussion in 2018. So that's the second sentence. That's the only two things we need. One, social history. Second thing about the past medical history. I'll repeat. അതായത് ഇയാള് ഒരു കാർപ്പന്റർ ആണ് ബൈ പ്രൊഫഷൻ, ജീവിക്കുന്നത് അമ്മയുടെയും ഗേൾഫ്രണ്ടിന്റെയും കൂടെയാണ്. അടുത്ത സെന്റൻസ് പാസ്റ്റ് മെഡിക്കൽ ഹിസ്റ്ററി, കൺകഷനെ കുറിച്ച് ഒരു ജസ്റ്റ് ഒരു മെൻഷൻ. കാരണം ടിബിയൽ ഫ്രാക്ചർ 14 വർഷം മുൻപ് നടന്ന ഒരു കാര്യമാണ്. അപ്പൊ അത് നമ്മൾ അങ്ങനെ ഒരു എക്സ്പ്ലനേഷൻ ചെയ്യണമെന്ന് എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നില്ല. അതിന്റെ ആവശ്യകതയില്ല. കാരണം അതൊരു റെലവന്റ് ഡാറ്റയല്ല. ഇറ്റ് വാസ് ലൈക്ക് 14 years back. I'll repeat. Mr. Deeb is a carpenter, or you can write Mr. Deeb, a carpenter who lives with his or resides with his mother and girlfriend. There will be some small errors when I say, but if I write, I can easily write it for you. So I'm just reading and saying, okay. And you can say his medical history is unremarkable except for, because there is nothing to be said, except for a concussion in 2018. And I hope that's clear for everyone. The present history and para 1 present history, para 2 the social and the past medical history. Now the third paragraph, we're going to mention about the discharge advice. What are the discharge advice here? Cash care and education, sling elevation physio, review appointment, medical certificate and emergency situation. In case of any emergency, he needs to return or any worsening symptoms. So how do we write it? Let's have a look. So the third and the last body paragraph. How is that clear for everyone? ഇതുവരെ എല്ലാവർക്കും ക്ലിയർ ആണോ? മനസ്സിലാവുന്നുണ്ടോ കാര്യങ്ങൾ നമ്മൾ എക്സ്പ്ലെയിൻ ചെയ്യുന്നത്? ഒരു മെസ്സേജ്, can you put a message if it is clear so far? Anyone? So that we can move on. Another 10-15 minutes, we are done. Waiting for a message. Perfect. Thank you. Thank you. Usha, Josna, Anshu, Manoj. It's clear. That's great. So let's move to the last one. Salini. Salini. I don't know how to pronounce Salini. Okay. So we are going with the third paragraph. Third paragraph. It's the conclusion paragraph. So we can write maybe um, pertaining above all the details, or we can write in light of the above, or in view of the above. We can write anything. Anyways, it's up to you. So we can write, it would be greatly appreciated. In light of the above, it would be greatly appreciated if you could provide cash care. The first one is if you could provide. It's very easy. You can write as it is, as it's mentioned. If you could provide cash care for Mr. Deeb, right? Or you can write if you could provide cash care and re-educate Mr. Deeb about the same. When I say about the same is the cash care. It would be greatly appreciated if you could provide cash care and re-educate Mr. Deeb about the same. I'm using Mr. Deeb here because we are starting again a new paragraph. Always the new paragraph, the first sentence, we need to write his name, his first name, right? We need to make sure that we are writing the name. So how do we write? It would be in light of the above, or in view of the above, or based on the above details, or anyway. If you are not following like that things, that's perfectly fine. I'm just saying what I was practicing in, what I'm teaching with my students actually. And so far, most of our students, like from January, our 12 students written, and if I'm right, almost 9 of them scored B grade in writing. I can easily lie to you saying all 12 got, but that's not the truth. And speaking, everybody got actually so far. Our students, regular students, എല്ലാവരും ഇതുവരെ കൃത്യമായിട്ട് സ്പീക്കിംഗ് പാസ് ആവുന്നുണ്ട് നമ്മുടെ ക്ലാസ്സുകളിൽ അനുസരിച്ച് പ്രോപ്പർ ഇതെല്ലാം വെച്ച്. So we'll write in sorry, deviate ആയി പോയി. It would be greatly appreciated if you could provide cash care and re-educate, because it says educated. Or we can write this sentence about this educated on during the first paragraph also, if someone got a doubt. After we write about the, like we say, a fiberglass cast was applied for immobilization, then after that you can say he was educated about he was educated on cast care. You can write like that also there. Or if you didn't write there, we can write it here. So how to write? It would be greatly appreciated if you could provide cast care and re-educate Mr. Deeb about the same. Second sentence. What is that second sentence? How do we write it? How we can write it? Maybe we can use a second connective here. After we used that, therefore we can use maybe kindly ensure. Now he need to elevate his hand with a link, with a sling. How we can write it? Kindly ensure he keeps his hand elevated with a sling, right? And attends, a double TENDS, attends, അതായത് physiotherapy attend ചെയ്യുന്ന, and attends physiotherapy at hand clinic. The hand clinic, both H and C must be capital. So the second sentence will be sling വെച്ച് കൈ ഉയർത്തണമെന്നും ഫിസിയോതെറാപ്പി അറ്റൻഡ് ചെയ്യണമെന്നും, ഇത് രണ്ടും ഒരുമിച്ച് അങ്ങ് എഴുതി പോകും. എങ്ങനെ എഴുതാം? Kindly ensure. Even if there is no, if you didn't use the connective also, that's perfectly fine. Then otherwise sometimes if you write he should, we cannot be judgmental, or we cannot order someone, so it's better to use one or two connectives in between. Kindly ensure he keeps his left hand elevated with a sling and attends physiotherapy. Next thing, so that's point 1, 2, 3, 4 are finished. What's next? Review. So how do we write about the review? We can write in different ways. He has a review in a week at OPD with a follow-up X-ray, as we written there, but it's better to change. So how do we write? He has a review appointment scheduled at OPD with a follow-up X-ray in a week time. Or you can write he has a review appointment with a follow-up X-ray scheduled at OPD in a week. It's different ways. It's up to you. How do you write actually? So that's the third sentence about the review. Then what's next? We can write a good connective here. Off note, OF, off space not, not, off not, that we need to remind someone. Off not, he requires medical certificate. Fourth sentence. Last sentence. In case of any worsening symptoms like pain, numbness, pain and tenderness, he needs to return to our emergency department. That's the last sentence. Or you can write, he requires to return to our emergency department for any worsening symptoms like numbness, pain and tenderness. So we can, that's the fifth sentence. So 5 sentences. I will repeat. The first sentence should be about the provide cash care and the re-education. Second sentence about sling and physiotherapy. Third sentence about review. Fourth one about medical certificate. It's in any order, it doesn't matter. And the last one about in case of any worsening symptoms. So I hope that's clear for also for everyone, like we discussed. Now how do we going to end? Please contact me if you have any queries. As far as I know, I cannot assure you 100%, but as far as I know, if you are how do I say, this ending is also counted in words. I cannot I'm not 100% sure, but I heard so. I cannot well, that's what is my knowledge. You can confirm with anyone actually, but I'm not exactly sure. But if I'm right, it is included in the word count. So I always prefer to write it very simple. Please contact for any further queries, or please contact me if you have any queries. Uh, we also have it of writing like, should you require any further information regarding this elderly or regarding this gentleman, please contact me. I mean, we have a habit of writing, or please do not hesitate to contact me if you have any queries regarding Mr. Deep. It will be stylish, but at the same time, if it is counting, because we all have a habit of writing a lot of words, right? Ending upon 220, 230, 240. When I started to write letters also, I was like 250, 260, then gradually came to 240s to 230, 220 to 200s, then finally ended between 180 to 200. So it's about you understand the task and select the relevant data. Think before you start, right? Do not rush to write. ഇത് ഓടിപ്പടിച്ച് എഴുതുന്നതിനേക്കാൾ എപ്പോഴും നല്ല ആലോചിച്ചും മനസ്സിലാക്കി എഴുതുക എന്നുള്ളതാണ്. അതായത് ഇതും വേർഡ് കൗണ്ടിൽ ഇൻക്ലൂഡഡ് ആണെന്നാണ് എൻ്റെ ഒരു അറിവ്. Then you can write yours sincerely, because we do have a recipient name here, because it's Mrs. Margaret Marshall. That's the reason we are writing yours sincerely. Sincerely, spelling must be very clear, comma. Then we write registered nurse, or we can write emergency department nurse, because the letter says you are an emergency department nurse. So mostly I request my students to write what is said in the task. If it says you are an emergency department nurse, it's better to write emergency department nurse. But it's still fine. You can write your name, or you can write as registered nurse. That's perfectly fine. Doesn't matter. It's up to you guys how to write. So I hope this was a useful section. I'll just repeat again one more time. Address, date, greeting line and regarding line, body introduction, 2 sentences, body paragraph, like we explained, admitted with the assessment, investigation, diagnosis, management, medications. Paragraph 2, social history and past medical history. Paragraph 3, discharge advice. You can make it, most of them have a habit of writing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7 sentences. Do not go for each and every, like he please provide him cash care. Second sentence, he was educated on cash care. Third sentence, kindly elevate him with a sling. Fourth sentence, please, he need to attend physiotherapy at hand clinic. Fifth sentence, he has a review. Or you can write, or some of them write, it is very important to note that he has a review in a week at OPD. No needs. Make it simple and clear. Start with he, his and 1 or 2 connectives. In the overall letter, if I remember correctly, I said only about 2 or 3 connectives. In fact, only 2 connectives. Only 2. Therefore and kindly. If needed, only write use connectives. Then the third one I said off not, he requires medical certificate, or he that's the third connective I said. So it's better to go like that. And some extra tips, always make sure you do have some proofreading for spelling errors, So because most of them doesn't even know the spelling of referral, what is referral, the names, the gender, that's a big thing. Some of them start the letters with Mr. Deep by ending with Mrs. Deep. Grammar issues, look at for is, was, is it two things, where, or if the, I mean, discharge advice, what should we expect? So please be careful what you are writing. Again, connectives, if you're writing therefore, however, all these things, use, try to use semicolon and connect two sentences for complex sentences. Okay, like we discussed, what we said, an x-ray revealed, his x-ray revealed boxer fracture, which confirmed his diagnosis, semicolon, therefore he underwent the procedure and a fiberglass cast was applied for immobilization. That's a complex sentence. You can go like that. Then introduction, always two sentences. Body paragraph, always make sure that you have 4 to 6 sentences, maximum 6 sentences in each paragraph. Do not go long about each paragraph. Try to make it simple. Even single sentence in a paragraph is still okay. If you don't believe me, go to the official sites and have a look at the examples they are provided there. Then we have sensitive words like overweight, try to use BMI, or suicide words like, so you can write self-harm. So we need to be careful. Then mark data by numbering each history and tick mark. Like I discussed earlier, put present history as 1, past history as 2, social as 3, and discharge advice as 4. After writing each data, make a small tick mark and write it. And that's the end of our discussion. And once again, if you are new to our, I have provided our Telegram channel link in the group. In the description area, you can join there for more discussions. Then what else I would like to say? The good thing is that we do have a good number of results for the last batch. I think in the month of March, our 6 of the candidates cleared the exam. Yesterday, day before yesterday, one of our candidate, Uma, she also cleared with a revaluation with a good score of 380, 370, 350. So that's also a good thing. Out of the last 6 students written on March 6th exam, 5 of them cleared the exam. One is still waiting for the revaluation results. And we do not take too many students at this stage. We are a little bit exceeded the numbers. Normally we take only 25. Currently we have 42 students, so that's a lot for me also. But it's not only me, we do have like 3-4 tutors in total. We are trying some different approach and it's really working for our students. And what else? And I hope that's clear. എല്ലാവർക്കും മനസ്സിലായി എന്ന് വിചാരിക്കുന്നു. If you have any doubts, please put in the chat box. I will discuss it right now for the next 10 minutes, then we are done.